we going to talk about, Dale?
You getting lost yesterday, I guess.
It wound up being, you said, a 92-lap race. There wasn't but 71 of them run under the green flag. The one that got wounded the most was the 11 car. Gold Bowling was the name of the race. He looked like a bowling ball. They was bowling him around
The only
everywhere.
thing about it was a white bowling ball, you know. Yeah.
The big deal, the road course, you can just watch them for a quarter mile or through each corner. At Bristol, you can see all the way around the racetrack. So that's the place to go watch a race.
But if you play some pretty good cars there that might be eliminated this week at Bristol, and that ain't no cakewalk.
Give it another try here, man.
Well, we was at a road course yesterday, and we could see about, a quarter of a mile of it?
That's about all we got to see. We could see number 1 and number 2 corner, and that was it.
Yeah, and
pretty exciting down there, though. They'd come down there going in 1 and then spread out about 4 or 5 abreast and then try to get back in line to get in number 2.
Yeah, you know, I sat in the 43 hauler yesterday and listened to the engineers and crew chief talk, and they had 2 or 3 different setups different strategies they was going to do. And everything was going good. The 43 was coming up through the field. I think got up to 9th, made a pit stop. I guess they had a loose wheel or something, and everything went to pot. But I guess on the first lap, the 12, there was just so many good cars involved.
The 7, the 12, I think the 7, they said the 7 caused it.
Yeah.
But there was 3 or 4 cars got knocked out. That's the second time in 3 weeks that the 12s got knocked out the first lap.
But he had a good finish at
Atlanta, so that saved him from there.
And he had points
to going in
for the championship going in. And I'm looking at it now, but there's some pretty good cars there that might be eliminated this week at Bristol, and that ain't no cakewalk.
No, just staying out of trouble up there is tough too.
Yeah, but 36 cars probably.
Getting back to the race, we sitting there and watching it, and until they had the first caution flag or first break, we kept up with it.
Yeah.
But once they started, right before they had the break, some of them stopped, some of them didn't stop, and then when they all come back out, I never knew. I guess the first car around we felt like was leading the race, and that's about all we knew, because the cars would be leading the race and then come back out after the pit stop, and they might be 15th or 20th. You know what I mean? So I never could keep up. Maybe on TV you might could have kept up with it, but if you're sitting there watching it at the racetrack, there's no way you could keep up except, like I say, the first 2 or 3 cars, and they was leading the race.
But the one car took off, and he just
he
looked
was
like
good.
He was going to be good. And then the 16 got up there racing him, and then just from kind of nowhere, the 17 come into place and just blew him away.
When the race first started, I think the 17th was 24th, and I think we was 25th. They came up through the crowd together. Okay,
yeah.
Neither, 17 might be in front one lap, the 43 be in the next lap, and they came up through the crowd. And then after the first break, then they got separated because some people started using a strategy.
Yeah.
And so once they used strategy, I never could figure out who was where or any of that kind of stuff. And when it was all over with, you had to look at the lineup just to see who finished where.
But I guess it was a good race. I don't know, but there was a pace for the lead on the last lap. Yeah. But it took a minute and 15 seconds for a lap.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but you got to figure it wound up being you said a 92-lap race, and there wasn't but 71 of them run under the green flag. So so it really wasn't a full race when you look at that standpoint.
Yeah, but
when they have them overtimes and stuff, I really get confused with what's going on, because really with a 2-lap showdown, you got 1 lap to race, because once they get the white flag, the race is over.
And everything's frozen right
So
now.
The big deal is these people, if you're going to get anything, you got to get it in that lap. And that's the reason it gets so confusion, because everybody knows, hey, I got 1 lap to pass this car, or knocked him out of the way or whatever.
You don't come back to the checker. You
right.
come back to the white.
You come back to the white flag, and then you're in.
But I'm looking at the rundown here, the finish. Kyle Larson, you got to watch him because he run hard every week, and he
never was in the race.
A contender,
he didn't run good to begin with.
But he wound up. He started 20th,
11th or 12th.
12th, and it's hard to figure that he was that good, and they was, I guess the 20 car got wounded, the 45 got wounded, and it's just hard to keep up with. But
I tell you, the one that got wounded the most was the 11 car. If you remember, he got in the first wreck, tore his right front fender and stuff off, and then later on in the race, going in number 2 there, right in front of us, we got to see they spun him out, or he spun himself out, or something, and Go Bowling was the name of the race. He looked like a bowling ball. They was bowling him around.
The only
everywhere.
thing about it was a white bowling ball, But we've talked about it before. Those cars are tough, Richard. They take a beat.
They really do.
And
the deal being that when you run a road course, or the way I looked at the race yesterday, it was the strategy you used and how quick you got in and out of the pits. Because if you come out 13th, then basically that's where he's going to run all day. And if you come out 20th, or if you come out leading the race. So it was one of the deals that the pit and strategy was more important than running on the racetrack.
But I tell you what helps strategy is a fast race car. But
you overcome some of it that way.
You overcome a lot of it. But, me and you talked during the race, as good as that one car was, the 16 was good. But I guess the 17 answers the question, but if they'd have got caught back in traffic, would they have had to run and pace people
to see
get
where
position other than strategy?
Really, the 16 should have won the race. He just messed up the very last lap and got sideways or got out of the groove. And then when he did, then the 17 kind of helped him get on out of the groove.
Well,
there was nothing matter with that. You mean? In other words, but if the 16 had made a good deal through the bus stop, then he would have won the race.
Yeah, but what about the 77 being up there, Richard?
I don't know where he come from either. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but undoubtedly,
he came from 29th place.
but his strategy and he must have run real good all day.
Yeah.
And it was one of those deals where he really wasn't up front. So like the 17, I didn't notice him till the last part of the race. And the 77 was the same way.
Well,
so they done everything right, and they run really good because the 77 outrun the one car the last lap or two. So he deserved to be there.
Yeah, and no question about that. But the 34 was a pretty good car too, Richard.
He was pretty good, but he could run good for about 7-8 laps, and then they would drive off and leave him.
But the 14's up there. The 14's up there in 6th, and I don't even remember seeing him. But
I don't
that's
either.
Okay.
It was interesting, and what's interesting about the point deal was at Atlanta, like a super speedway, we go to road course. Now we go to Bristol, and that's a completely different deal. So some of the guys in the back is going to catch up, and some of the guys up front is going to get left out. So it's going to be interesting to see how Bristol comes out.
Yeah, we're talking about, I think I brought it up, I think during the race, I think it's around minute 14 around the racetrack where we was at Sunday. And there's going to be 36 cars making it in 15 seconds at Bristol. So it'll be action.
Yeah, it's fast, man.
And just to go up and see the racetrack, and I guess they call it a Coliseum.
Well, the big deal of road course, you can just watch them for a quarter mile or through each corner. At Bristol, you can see all the way around the racetrack. So that's the place to go watch a race.
But if you're concentrating on something, you might miss something over here. So and of course they're going to have a baseball game there too. So
I'm not going to the baseball game. All right, we'll see you after Bristol.
Oh my goodness.
Working with my dad. You know, I guess it was okay. We didn't know any better, okay? I mean, you know, we was 18, 20-year-old kids, and whatever Lee Petty said to do, right? We didn't know whether it was right or wrong. Whatever he said to do, we went ahead and done. And it must have worked out pretty good because he won a few races too.
Yeah, you know, he didn't start running until he was 35-year-old, you know, and he but Richard repeated that if he told us what to do, I guess we done it. I know we might have told this story before, but we was at somewhere in Winston, I guess, and Richard rode around on the hood of the car cleaning the windshield under caution. We didn't even have pit passes back then, so we did what we had to do to help him win.
I think they might look at that. You know, they have a couple of them. They have changed the start-finish line or the start line. They've moved it up or moved it back to try to keep it from being so confusion when you get to the first corner. So right now, I think they're looking at all options because, you know, having wrecks and tearing up equipment, NASCAR don't like that either. But it costs the owners so cotton picking much that, you know, eventually it's going to catch up with NASCAR.
Yeah, anybody that's NASCAR don't like tearing up cars. The owners don't like it, and especially the people who work on it. So I know it's been talked. They need to do something about the restarts. And of course, I wish they could do something about pit road too. They tear up some cars on pit road also.
I didn't hear the deal. I don't know what he said. So basically, I can't make a comment on that.
I did not hear it either, and if he got himself in trouble, he'll have to dig his way out.